Hello and welcome to Forgiveness as Quiet Freedom. This is a deep hypnosis relaxation session. My name is Newland. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. As well as being on YouTube, you can also listen to this podcast on Spotify and all the major podcast apps. It's also available on my website, jasonnewland.com, as well as Facebook, Instagram, X and TikTok. So welcome. You don't really have to do too much. In fact, pretty much nothing. I would suggest closing your eyes, but again, that is up to you. So, welcome. This is a gentle place for you to rest. While something inside you begins to soften. In the background. And you don't have to force anything today. You don't have to do forgiveness correctly. You don't even have to forgive anyone on demand. And very importantly, you don't have to pretend that you're okay if you're not. Because this is not about excusing harm. And it's not about forgetting. Also, this is not about going back. It's definitely not about tolerating what should never, ever have happened. So what is this? This is about your freedom, your nervous system, your inner peace, your sleep, your ability to move forward without dragging the old weight around behind you. And if at any moment you feel you'd rather just drift and let my voice become background, that's fine. Because a part of you can listen without trying. And another part of you can simply rest. Now, and you can allow your eyes to close if you want to, when you're ready. Or you can just keep them open and notice how you let them get heavier and heavier. As your face and your body becomes more relaxed. And just let the day be over. For now. As you settle, notice something simple. You are here, and you have made it to this moment. And even if it's been messy, even if you've carried way too much, and even if you felt all alone, just arriving here is enough, because you are enough. Now, I want you to imagine there's a gentle dimmer switch Not a real switch, just an imagined one. And that dimmer controls the brightness of effort, the brightness of thinking, the brightness of trying. And maybe you don't switch it off. You just turn it down a little bit, testing it, noticing how you feel. That's it. And another dimmer. This one's for urgency. Just for turning urgency down. And there's now another dimmer there, but this one is for self-criticism. Not arguing with it, not fighting it, just letting it lose volume. Good. And now, as your body settles in its own relaxing way, you can begin to notice the difference between holding and being held. Because there is a way of holding yourself right, like bracing. And there is a way of being held by the surface beneath you, so you don't have to brace. And you may start to realize that you can be supported without doing anything at all. In fact, the earth has supported you your whole life. Whenever you sit down, lie down, or even stand, you are being supported. And in a moment, I'm going to count down slowly from 20 all the way down to 1. And with each number, you can drift deeper and deeper. Not because you push, quite the opposite. It's because you stop pushing. And if you lose track, that's perfect. And if you forget the numbers that you're counting, even better. And if your mind wanders, that's good. That's really good. Because wandering minds often find the most helpful doorways. So as we get ready to count all the way down from 20 down to 1. Ready. 20. Letting the outside world become less important. 17. Softer. 18. Heavier. 17. Drifting. 16. Loosening in your face, loosening in your jaw. 15. As if the muscles remember how to stop working. 14. Safe enough to let go a little more. 13. Sleepy. 12. Unhooking from the day. 11. Like turning your attention down. Like gentle fade. 10. and it can be easy to go further. Nine, slower. 8, quieter. 7, 'Comfortable'. 5, 'Deeper'. 4, 3, 'Calm'. 2, settling. 1, simply resting. begin the forgiveness work. In the safest way. Not like a confrontation, and not like ripping off a plaster or band-aid. In fact, it's more like thawing something that's frozen, thawing it slowly and at the right temperature. Because deep change is not a shove. Deep change is a permission. Now, imagine that inside you there is a private place. A place that belongs only to you. It may look like any other room, or a garden, or a quiet shoreline. Quiet shoreline peaceful hallway. And this place has only one rule. Nothing enters that space unless you allow it. Nothing or no one enters that space unless you allow it. No person, no memory, no conversation, no demand. Only what serves your healing. And let that place appear in whatever way it appears. And somewhere in this inner space, there is a comfortable chair or a bench or a soft spot to rest. And as you settle, you may notice that in this place you are not smaller than your past. And you are not trapped in old moments. In fact, you are the present you. With choices now. In this place, there is also a gentle light. It's not a harsh spotlight, just a warm light that simply shows you what is ready to be seen without judgment. And this light is not here to expose you. It is here to soothe you. Now, I want to introduce an idea that can change everything. Forgiveness is not something you do for someone else. Forgiveness is something that you allow. So that you can stop paying the cost in your body, in your sleep, and in your nervous system. Forgiveness, it's not approval. Forgiveness is not agreement. And forgiveness is not reconciliation. Forgiveness is the moment that you decide I will not keep bleeding into my own future. Because of what happened in the past. Forgiveness is the moment you decide, I will not keep bleeding into my own future. Because of what happened in my past. And today, we do this really carefully. We do this in layers. And you remain in control. Now, if something feels too much, you can just put it at a distance. And if something doesn't belong here today, you can place it outside the door of your inner place. You can return to it another day or never. Healing is not a performance. It's a relationship with yourself. Now, in your inner place, imagine there is a shelf. A simple shelf. And on that shelf are a few containers. Each container holds a particular kind of emotional weight. With each container holding a particular kind of emotional weight. There could be different ones, such as one labeled with anger, one with hurt, unfinished conversations. Things I never said. What I didn't deserve. What I lost. And you don't have to open them all. In fact, we don't have to open any. Just notice that they exist. And that they are no longer scattered everywhere. Anymore. Because they are contained. And you are safe. Now, I want you to imagine a second shelf. And those new containers are empty containers. Waiting for something better. A container labeled peace. Another closure. Another respect. Calm nights. Freedom. There's no one that's labeled my future. My future. And when the work we do today it's simply moving energy, simply moving energy from one shelf to the other one. And you're moving that energy not by force, but simply by allowing it. Now, just bring to mind a mild example first. Something small, not the biggest thing. Not the worst thing, because we start where it is safe. A small annoyance, a small disappointment, a moment someone let you down. And you can notice where in your body do you hold that memory. No need to analyze, just notice. silently say to yourself, and you can repeat this idea over and over again. I don't excuse it. I don't approve it. I simply release my grip on carrying it. I don't excuse it. I don't approve of it. I simply release my grip on carrying it. And you may imagine your hand unclenching slightly, not all the way, but just enough to feel the beginning of release. And you can stay inside that safe place, saying to yourself, I can keep my boundaries and still set myself free. Because boundaries protect you, and release frees you. And sometimes people confuse those two. But you can have both. Now, imagine that small memory is written on a piece of paper. And there is a small bowl or a safe container in your inner peace. And you place that paper into the bowl. And the bowl doesn't burn it. It simply dissolves the ink gently until the paper becomes blank again. So the paper remains, but the story releases. notice any shift, even tiny ones. Good. Now, your mind understands the process. We can go a little deeper. Because one of the most painful things is not necessarily what happened, but what your mind does afterwards. The replay, the re-arguing, the I should have said this, or the why didn't I do this, say blah blah, or how could they? So now we are going to soothe the part of your mind that keeps looping. Not because it enjoys pain, but because it tried to protect you by staying alert. So you can tell that protective part silently, thank you for trying to protect me. And you don't have to work so hard from now. And you might imagine that part of your mind is a tired guard who's been on duty for far too long, scanning the horizon. And you offer that guard a warm place to sit, not as a punishment, but as a kindness. And you say, you can rest. If danger comes, I will handle it. You can sleep. Now, imagine that every time your mind tries to replay that same old scene, and a soft curtain gently closes, blocking it from view. Not to deny and not to erase, just to stop the endless replay. And behind the curtain, it's very quiet. And you may notice that it becomes much easier to let that scene be in the past. That's good. Now we turn to the deepest, most powerful kind of forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for what you did and for what you didn't do. And also for what you didn't know back then, and how you coped to survive. Because sometimes the harshest voice is inside us. So, in your inner place, allow an image of you at an earlier time to appear. Not a perfect image, just you at that time, doing the best you could do with all that you had back then. All those limitations. And take a look at that earlier you, that younger you, with a steady, calm kindness and love. And say to that earlier you, I see what you are carrying. I see what you are trying to do. I see what you didn't have. And I see why you made the choices you made. And now say, you were doing your best with the tools that you had, in the state you were in, and with the support you did or did not receive. And now, this is important. You do not have to declare yourself perfect. You only have to declare yourself human. So say, I am human. I learned. I adapted. I survived. And I am allowed to grow without punishment. Now imagine you place a warm hand on the shoulder of that earlier you. And that earlier you begins to believe you. And perhaps that earlier you has been waiting for a long time for you to arrive. Now say, I release the need to keep hurting myself to prove I understand. I can understand without self-attack. I can remember without reliving. I can improve without punishment. and allow that earlier you to step closer and merge gently with you. As if you are collecting your own scattered pieces. Not dramatic, just peaceful. Now, only if it feels appropriate, we approach the idea of another person. And we do it safely. So, in your inner place, there is a screen, like a cinema screen. And you control the distance, the size, and the volume. And you can make the image small, far away, silent, or even blurred. Because you are in charge. And on that screen, allow the image of the person to appear. Only as much as you choose. If you prefer, it can be a silhouette, a blurred outline, a symbolic shape, or just the idea of them. That's good. Now, this is the key distinction. We're not going to give them a gift. We are here to stop giving them space inside your body. So you can say, I release you from the job of being who I needed. I release you from the job of making sense. I release you from controlling my nervous system. And you can add, what you did was yours. What I carry now is mine to release. Now imagine there is a cord connecting you to them. Not a cord of love necessarily, just a cord of energy, an energetic attachment, anger, obsession, longing, and unfinished business. As you notice the cord, you notice that the cord has been draining you. Now, you don't cut it with violence. You don't rip it. You simply loosen the grip on your end. And you let it slide out of your hands until it drops to the floor and lies on the ground, lifeless. And when it drops, notice your body learning. Oh, I don't have to hold that. And now say, I do not need your apology to heal. I do not need your understanding to move on. And I do not need your change for me to become free. And if you ever do receive an apology, you can decide what to do with it then. But your freedom does not wait. And now, imagine the screen begins to dim and the image fades. And the space it leaves behind fills with calm, like warm air. Now, deeper still, in your inner place, there is a door with a simple sign: quiet freedom. Quiet freedom. And behind this door is a chamber designed specifically for release. Not dramatic, not mystical, just deeply effective. And when you enter, you notice that the chamber responds to your attention. And the moment you decide to let go, it helps you. And in the center of the chamber is a comfortable place to stand or sit. And above you is a gentle stream of light, like a warm shower of quiet. And this light does something very, very specific. It separates the event from your identity. It separates what happened from who you are. Because you are not what happened to you. And you are not your worst day. And you're definitely not someone else's treatment of you. You are something much, much more. So now, in this chamber, you can say, I return what isn't mine. I return shame that was never mine. I return blame that was never mine. And I return responsibility that never belonged to me. And as you say that, imagine those burdens sliding off of you, like heavy coats being taken off and placed on a hook. And you choose not to put them back on. Now say, I keep this lesson. I release the poison. I keep this wisdom. And I release the pain. And notice the quiet in your chest or belly or your shoulders shifting even slightly. That's good. Now, in your inner place, a writing desk appears, and on it is paper and a pen. And you're going to write a letter that you will never send. And this letter exists only to empty you out safely. You don't have to actually write it. You can just imagine it being written as you hear these words. Here is what you did. Here is what it cost me. Here is what I needed. Here is what I deserved. Here is what I no longer accept. Here is what I am choosing now. And now the final lines of the letter. I release the fantasy that you will become the person I needed. I release the hope that the past will change. I release the argument with reality. And now I choose my life. I choose my peace. I choose my sleep. I choose my future. And now that imagined letter, fold it up. Fold it and place it into that same dissolving bowl from before, where ink fades gently. Just watch it soften until it becomes blank. Now we teach your mind and body a new automatic habit. Because forgiveness is not just an idea. Forgiveness is a new reflex. So from now on, when the old memories try to return at night, your unconscious mind will do something different. It will respond with a phrase automatically, like a soft lock clicking into place. And the phrase is, "Not now. I'm resting." Not now. I'm resting. Just repeat that in your mind and let the phrase settle. Not now. I'm resting. Not now. I'm resting. And each time you say it, the memory moves further away. And each time your nervous system learns sleep is safe. Rest is allowed. And the past does not get to run the night shift anymore. Now, install a second phrase. This one is for daytime. When you notice yourself replaying, rehearsing, or tightening, your mind will naturally offer release and return. Release and return. Release and return. Return to what? Return to the present. Return to your body. Return to your day. And return to what matters now. And now install a third phrase, and this one is for self-forgiveness. I am learning. I am allowed. I am learning. I am allowed. I am learning. I am allowed. And now, imagine meeting a future version of you. Not a perfect you, but a calmer you, a lighter you, a you who sleeps much, much easier. And they approach quietly and look at you with respect and relief. And they say, thank you. Thank you for releasing what I no longer carry. Thank you for choosing me. And thank you for stopping the punishment. And now this future you shake hands. And in that handshake, a promise transfers. A promise that you will not abandon yourself. Never. A promise that you will protect your peace. Always. And also a promise that you will not keep hold of old pain as proof of loyalty to the past. Promise that you will not keep hold of old pain as proof of loyalty to the past. Because you can honor what happened without living inside it. And now you can let your mind drift as if floating gently in warm quiet and somewhere deep inside, a part of you knows what to release today. And what to release for another time. So you can allow a small letting go, the right size, the right space, the right amount. You can say, I keep my boundaries. I release the burden. I keep my dignity. I release the draining attachment. I keep the lesson. I release the poison. And as that happens, your shoulders can soften. Your jaw can loosen. Your stomach can settle. And your mind can become less interested in old arguments. Because your future deserves your energy more than your past does. And if any part of you still says, but it wasn't fair, you can agree gently. No, it wasn't fair. And then add, and I'm not carrying it anymore. And you're not carrying it anymore. And if any part of you says, but they should know, they should know, you can say, maybe. And I'm still releasing myself. You're still releasing yourself. And if any part of you says, but what if I forget? You can say, I will remember the lesson without reliving the pain. You will remember the lesson without reliving the pain. And your unconscious mind can learn this new skill to store wisdom without storing suffering. Now, allow the whole process to become quieter. Less like thinking, more like settling. As forgiveness now becomes a background function. Just like your body digesting food, you don't need to supervise it because it just happens automatically. and any remaining tension can become less important. Not gone, just less gripping. Because you are teaching your system I can be safe even with an unfinished past. Now imagine once again that warm, quiet light above you. And it gently fills the space where the old attachment used to live. Not a hole, a space. A space for calm nights. A space for new habits. A space for softness. Most importantly, a space for you. And now, as you rest, I'm going to speak a set of powerful suggestions, and you don't need to remember them. Just let them land. You are allowed to let go. You are allowed to heal without permission. You are allowed to sleep without replaying. You are allowed to feel lighter. You are allowed to keep your boundaries and still be free. You are allowed to stop punishing yourself. And you are allowed to move forward. And if there is one final sentence your unconscious mind keeps, let it be this: forgiveness is my quiet freedom. Forgiveness is my quiet freedom. Forgiveness is my quiet freedom. Now you can drift into sleep and let this become a sleep session. And if you are drifting to sleep, simply let my voice fade into the background and let your mind float and float and float.